it's the first time that this place has hosted the U.S. Open and since like the late 80s here, because it sounds like it's going to be living up to being the toughest test in golf this week. Based off the videos I've seen on Twitter, these greens look ridiculous.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a different like U.S. Open setup. I think it's not going to be necessarily like super long. I don't think. I mean, it's a 7,200-yard par 70. So for the players, I mean, it's not like overly long. I mean, we're not like 7,500 yards for a par 70. I think that in a lot of ways, this course is going to set up similar to what we saw at Pebble Beach, where they're taking a shorter classical course and they're kind of going to grow out the rough and trick it out a little bit. It's still going to be tough, like you said, but it's going to be tough in different ways. It's more about placement. I agree 100% with what Collin said. You see some of the things with the fairways. You hit it in the wrong spot in these fairways. It doesn't just roll into the thick rough. It'll roll into the water or things like that. So a lot about placement this week. I think it's going to bring a little bit more of the field in this year. Now, we say this sometimes about the U.S. Open, but it's still, those guys with the power do have a little bit of, obviously, a little bit of an advantage just because they got the higher ball flight. They're going to be able to hold the greens more. But it's going to be a really interesting setup. And I think it's going to be, again, not one where it's necessarily more of a bomb and gouge, but, you've got to know your way around the course. And ball striking, obviously, smaller greens, but I think a more nuanced all-around game could obviously contend here as well. So really excited to see how this course plays. Again, a bit of a shorter par 70 and just looking like a bit more of a placement course than necessarily pure power.
Yeah, and Geoff, I believe they're working in holes from like all three of the nines that they have out there, including there's like a par 5. Here we go, the 619-yard 14, like one of the hardest par 5s that I think.
The course has been completely rerouted for this U.S. Open. Like they're just basically taking holes from all around. They just made an 18 holes, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it's sweet.
It's going to be very unique in that way, right? I mean, like they're not just making the course and here's a couple bad holes to throw in, but it's like everything is unique. So it should be a really cool setup for sure.